In this video, we're going to look at the book's fancy theorems that you really already know and then apply them. So the first theorem says -1 times a. Well, that's just going to be negative a because it has one negative. Negative a times b will be negative ab because it has one negative. Now the third one, negative a times negative b, would of course be positive ab because there's two negatives. And then the last two theorems, we're just going to distribute the a and get ab minus ac. The last one, you're going to do the same thing. It's just we're distributing it. The a is on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. So now let's use them to work just a couple of problems. We're going to start with actually number 3. I'm going to distribute -5 through the parentheses. Notice I need to stop and not distribute it to the -7 because this parentheses is like a stop sign. Then we'll just write down the -7, and then we need to combine our like terms. -20 doesn't have anything with it that's like it, so we just write it down, and then we combine the 5 and the -2 to get the 5 and the -7 to get -2c. Now let's look down at the tricky ones. This one we're going to distribute. We're going to distribute the 5x to the second set of parentheses and get 25x squared minus 20x. Then we'll distribute the 4 to the 5x minus 4. And finally, we'll combine the middle terms, which they just cancel out, and we wind up with 25x squared minus 16. Those are called the difference of squares because we have a difference, and then those numbers all have square roots. Let's look at another problem. We're going to distribute the 2x to the parentheses. Notice again that we stop at the parentheses and just write down plus 3x. Then we're going to combine what we can, which is the last two, minus 8 plus 3. I'd like for you to do the third one and turn it in. And finally, let's look at going backwards. This is called factoring. So look at the second problem. First thing you want to do is determine what they have in common, the greatest common factor, 4y. Then we've got to figure out what we're missing. So notice we have a 4 and we have the y, but we're missing our x squared. In the second one, we have our y, but we don't have the x. We also need something to give us the 8 and the minus, so we will need a minus 2x. And then finally, we're missing a positive 3y. And we have now factored number 2. Number 3 is a special type of problem. It looks very similar to the first one that we did up here. And therefore it's called a difference of squares because it has a difference and it has squares. So first write our parentheses, and then we're going to find the square root of 49 and the square root of x squared and put it in the left-hand side because that's where the 49x squared is. We'll do the same thing with the 9 and the y squared and get 3y squared. And finally, one is a plus and one is a minus.